And once again, proof of life.
We're live, yes.
We get proof of life every Tuesday at 11:30 from Mr. Mark Zuckerberg. Thank you, Mark.
Such a nice boy.
It says we're live, so I'm
well, parts of me are.
I'm gonna, yeah, what is it? Angie's a woman of many parts. Most of them are working.
Yeah.
Indeed. So today we absolutely are thrilled to have this. If you look across the bottom, I ran out of titles for her. She's a music industry maven, a veteran of rock and roll, a keeper of secrets, I call her. More lately, a podcast lady. Has been to managing studios all over the world, from Take One Recording, Red Zone, Soundcastle, Firehouse, and now she is the big cheese, Grand Fromage, big kahuna on Sunset and Gower at the very famous EastWest Recording Studios. So without further ado, and the crowd goes wild, Miss Candace Stewart. Hello, honey.
Hi, Candace.
Hi, Candace.
Good.
How are you doing?
I'm great. Yeah, no, good. Fighting against time, because not everyone can be like Angie, going to the gym, eating egg whites,
I know.
Going to the gym, eating egg whites. Yeah. And Angie's sitting here with her cheers. It's, yeah.
Dude, so need a drink right now. Go ahead.
No, I don't really need one, but it's kind of tradition. So actually, truth be told, because, it's just us chickens. It's this company called Frey, F-R-E, and it's
alcohol free. Yeah.
Alcohol removed California Chardonnay, and
just slug the real stuff in there.
A tablespoon. We used to call them a floater. Tablespoon.
Yes.
So you get the smell of the alcohol and the roar of the crowd.
Roar of the crowd, yeah.
And the grease. So you have been in this industry over 30 years, managing studios, and you're now. You've worked with all kinds of people, from the Rolling Stones, Tom Petty, Foo Fighters, Madonna, Lady Gaga, Timberlake, Pharrell, Snoop Dogg, and all kinds of film composers like Paul Williams. So germane to that, where were you born?
Oh, that's funny. That's what I do on my podcast. Have you seen it?
I know. Of course.
I was actually born in Fontana, California.
Oh, really? By the racetrack.
And my parents moved to Charleston, South Carolina when I was about 3. So I grew up in South Carolina.
Oh, okay. So that's
God's country, as it were.
That's why you have that sexy accent.
Well, I hope so. Yeah. It's Angie. It's the most like an English town of any American town. It looks like parts of London or Sussex.
Oh,
wow.
It's old, like 1700s. For America, it's old.
Oh, how lovely.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, it's gorgeous.
So did you play instruments growing up, or how in God's name did you get into
this? I'm the only person in my family that doesn't play anything. I mean, my mom was an artist. My dad was an electrical engineer and a super genius. My 2 older brothers are guitar player, bass player, and great recording engineers. My maiden name is Smith. Oh. I have to give a shout out to Rick Smith, my oldest brother, who still plays guitar all the time. He just went back to our hometown. He's in Charleston. And then my brother Steve lives in Seattle, was a bass player, but an amazing engineer, does a lot of scoring, a lot of film stuff, and designs studios. Steve is awesome. And then my brother David lives here, and he's a photographer.
Great.
He can play piano, and he's an artist as well. He's a painter and a photographer. So he's amazing.
So you really did get kind of the left brain, right brain, creative, and then engineering, because a big part of your job is all of this technical stuff, right?
Yeah. I mean, my brother Steve got me started. I came out, I was going to be a marriage counselor. No. I kept changing my major, and I finally settled on psychology and business, which ended up being perfect for what I do. Yeah. But I was working for Steve, and he was teaching me about assistant engineering and some technical stuff. And about a year in, I'm like, man, I just don't think I have the electronics aptitude to do this, but I'd love to help you book it. Because I'd been a bartender, and I'd worked in hotels, and, I'd worked in catering, and I worked in kitchens. I was a sous chef for a long time at a place in Charleston that I left. And so he let me help him. And because he was an alumni of the record plant on 3rd Street, Roseman, Grand Diva that she is, in my world, was their boss. And a lot of the people that Steve knew when he went off independently and opened Take One, which is where Glenwood Place is now in Burbank, were people that you would know, like Mike Klink worked at the record plant, Jim Scott worked at the record plant,
Yep.
Kiefer, Michael Bronstein, all these guys. So Steve knew all those guys. And I got a call one day from Mike Klink, who I still work with all the time. And he said, I think it was 1986, maybe. Wow. And he said, I have this band and we've already done the record and we don't have any money and we need to re-record it. And I'm like, okay. So I gave him a good deal. And that first project was Appetite for Destruction.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, I've lost you.
Oh,
Even
no,
though I'm
no.
hardwired. Hopefully
No.
you can still hear me.
No, yeah.
I don't know if you can see me though.
Oh, we're absolutely online. No, don't
Hopefully it will come back.
don't move a thing. We're fine.
Oh, you
That's
are
absolute- Yeah, no, we didn't lose you at all. So
Hello.
Appetite for Destruction, good grief. So did you know a gal by the name of Vicky Hamilton?
Oh yeah, no, I knew Vicky. Vicky was affiliated with them, but at that point they were already, they'd already been at Geffen and had Tom Zutaut as an A&R guy. And I mean, she was in the circle for sure, but they had been.
They went in the studio.
They're now being handled by others, as it were. And I saw Slash recently did a solo record here. Was great to see him. He's the nicest guy. And Duff and they're all super, super nice guys. But musically, not my thing.
No, not
Yeah,
mine either. No, but I mean the talent. I mean, of people like Slash is incredible. We actually did
Unreal.
at
Yeah,
McCartney Multimedia with our partners Matty Vision from Athens in Greece.
Oh wow.
Many, many years ago, we did a 360-degree video album with Slash. And it was the first of its kind in the App Store. And you could actually walk around with your iPad and walk around the studio and look up and walk around the back of the amps and all of that.
That sounds cool. He's an angel.
Yeah, it was a really interesting project. And that was the only thing I've ever had to do with Slash. But he was a gentleman. Soul is very
he's lovely. Yeah, no, he's lovely. And so that they always used to tease me because I was into things like Brian Ferry and Roxy music. I'm a British Invasion fan, obviously.
Yeah.
right.
As far as I'm concerned, you can keep on invading, at least musically. I'm a fan.
That's what when people ask, hey Ruth, you're English, you're married to a German. How does that work? I said, yeah, every night I dress as Poland and he invades me.
Boom. Yeah.
But
I mean, I grew up with 3 older brothers, so of course it was the Beatles, Stones, Kinks. I'm a huge Kinks fan, but the Hollies. I love that period of music. The Who.
But now, tell me, what have been some of the most rewarding things that have happened during your career?
I mean, it's corny, but basically just helping people do their thing. I mean, it's at the end of the day, what we all do, the people behind the glass, as it were, is, we're here to support the artist and get out of the way. You know what I mean? So,
Nice.
but every day, there's some new nugget of fun that comes along.
Have you thought about writing a book, or have you done one?
People have asked me about doing that. I haven't had time, to be honest. I mean, maybe a book. The podcast was really something for me just to have for posterity, to talk to people while we're still here, all of us, and to shine a light on some of the people, like I said, behind the scenes who actually make things happen. But obviously memorable working with the Stones, working with Tom Petty. I was a huge Chris Cornell fan.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Audio Slave did 3 records here, and I had a mad crush on Chris.
we won't tell Brian.
No, he was gorgeous. I think Brian would agree. He was gorgeous and cool and liked to cook. So we would talk about food. I love to cook, so we would talk about food and stuff. But artists that I'm working with now, I mean, Mike Klink still comes in. He's been working with this band called Capital Theatre from New Zealand, and they're great.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So yeah, it's awesome.
Well, one of the things I love about EastWest, apart from you and Keith and the crew being there and the fabulous red curtains that I don't know how you keep 75 feet of
there's life forms in there. They're not clean. Don't look too close.
Okay. But you have a gourmet kitchen. You have this
I know.
fabulous stove and 4 fridges, and I could just get lost in it. If you're ever hiring another sous chef, I can be had.
Well, pre-COVID, and I'm going to start it back again. If you booked a week or longer, Keith and I would cook you dinner. You know, and it can be complete with whatever dietary restrictions you had. I've made a great, vegetarian. I eat meat, but would cook whatever the person wanted to have.
Yeah.
That's
Wonderful.
fabulous. Well,
Yeah.
you've got all the tools there.
Oh, I know. It's lovely.
Yeah. We should do a Mrs. McCartney's afternoon tea. One of these.
Well, I would love to do tea. But could we also have alcohol while we're having?
I think so. I think
brandy tea.
I think it might
I'll
be
think about
a
it.
champagne tea. What do you think?
Yes. Yeah, for me it would be champagne tea.
I'll drink to that.
But I love that kitchen. I've been doing Thanksgiving here the past year or so because the double of an 8-burner wolf is awesome.
Yeah, and then enough room to put the chairs and tables out for everybody.
Yeah.
We watch a movie in Studio One. If we do it this year, you'll have to come. We do the big pull down screen, and we watch The Godfather because that's a Thanksgiving movie.
Yes.
Score was done here.
Great
So
idea. No.
we watch movies where we try to watch movies where the music was recorded here.
Oh, that's very cool. And you've got lots and lots of those, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's I came late. I came to 6000 Sunset, now EastWest in 98. It was cello when I first came. And then I came back. Doug Rogers, my dear friend who saved it, who owns EastWest Sounds, bought it in 06 and brought in Philippe STARCK and made it all fantastic and fancy, as you know. But I mean, lots of film, lots of scoring. Whitney Houston did "I Will Always Love You" in Studio 2.
In Studio 2, not
one. I know.
Oh, interesting. Every time I come to work with you and Nick Marichal mainly, I always I go into the "I Think I Love You" room and have my little David Cassidy cry.
Such a fan. I mean, David came here actually. We did a lot of the music for the Partridge Family, and David came here probably about 10 years ago and was doing a special, and he was very verklempt. He said it brought back a lot of memories. He was lovely.
Yeah, he was a friend of ours and a client for many, many moons.
Handsome devil.
Handsome devil, indeed. Yeah. I'll tell you the rest when I see you.
Yeah, sounds good.
Quite.
But so tell us about the hierarchy of, I know a lot of people who will be watching are musicians or music fans, but it's kind of like there's a hierarchy of, you got the runner, the second engineer, the first engineer, the producer, the artist. There's certain chairs you sit in and certain privileges.
Yeah. I mean,
like a kitchen, kind of.
Yeah, well, it's like, like any industry, back in the day, we have schools now, but we didn't always. And, you'd be a journeyman, electrician or grip or lighting guy, whatever. So at studio, but basically I'm the gatekeeper.
Right.
So I run the business and I book the studio time. And, if you're nice to me, I give you a good rate. If I think you're rude, I'm booked,
or it's double.
Yeah. But I run the business for the owner, Doug Rogers, as I mentioned, and he's pretty much hands off, lets me do my thing. I do the booking, control the scheduling, run the staff. By the way, managing people is the hardest part of my job.
Yeah.
And I have a great staff.
Yeah.
I mean, I love them to a person.
Yeah.
But the hierarchy is me, my assistant, Keith, who really should be right next to me. He's amazing. Then we have Jake, who helps us also on front desk. And then we have the chief engineer tech, was Lawrence Malchos. He's just moved to Birmingham, UK. And yes. And but now I've got Tim Curtis, who's a freaking super genius.
Cool.
And and then it goes assistant engineers and then runners and then kind of interns, Yeah.
I love that you still have an internship program, because a lot of places don't want it for the liability and all the paperwork and all that crap. But you're never going to get up the ladder in the business unless you get in the door. And especially with somebody like you as a mentor, I think that's just wonderful. That's going to make you feel good.
It makes me feel really good. And I only work with a few schools. I mean, in California, as you're aware, it's only legal to do an unpaid internship for academic fulfillment.
Right.
So I'm not into having slave labor, but it's about a month and a half sort of dating period. And you can figure out if the person has what it takes. And I don't usually bring on an intern that I don't have a job for.
Right.
I'm very conscious of that. But some people, when I talk to the interns or when I interview someone in an entry-level position, I tell them, I'm like, look, this is about finding out what you don't want to do as much as what you do want to do. Like
Right.
there's no harm in going, oh, hey, I don't want to work in a commercial studio. I want to work in a post house, or I want to work for a composer. There's no wrong,
Right.
thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So typically, if you hire an intern, then it's a 6 or 8 week program, and they get a course credit.
Yeah. Yeah, I work with Blackbird Academy. Crass, I'm on the board of the Conservatory of Recording Arts and Sciences in Tempe, Arizona.
Oh.
They are magnificent, and their program is awesome. And they have been so respectful to me and let me put in my 2 cents about equipment. And, their curriculum's crazy. I mean, it's so all encompassing. They even have we saw an opening quite a few years ago. We were looking at broadcasts. So every time you watch a car race or a football game, HD audio, we're saying, oh my God, okay, these people are working on the trucks.
Right.
These are the people who are making all the broadcasts happen. So video games,
Wow.
immersive experiences. They're an incredible school. They're wonderful.
And they're in Tempe, Arizona?
They're in Tempe, Arizona, and Gilbert. They have 2 campuses. And then Blackbird Academy of John McBride's place in Nashville is amazing. John and Martina are just, I can't say enough good things about them. They're the nicest people on the planet.
Lovely people. Martina, many moons ago when we were living in Nashville after the Northridge earthquake, I compiled a celebrity cookbook for Feed the Children, the charity in Oklahoma City. Yeah. And Martina was with a fax, I was faxing all the managers on Music Row and here's the recipe form and will you sign a release? And Martina was the very first one to return it and came to, I was working out of a friend's office on Music Row, and she actually came and dropped off the typed recipe and a signed autographed picture and the release and everything. She's like, oh, well, I didn't want to fax it back because if it's going in a book for charity, you should have the best quality and best. Yeah, she was the first one to return the recipe.
Angie, she is so your kind of person too. She's a tiny little bit of a thing, as you know, and she's published 2 cookbooks of her own, which I have autographed and treasured. Yeah. Now, how PG is this show? Can I cuss?
Oh yeah, absolutely. The only thing we don't talk is politics.
No politics. Everything else is fine.
No, mofos are fine.
So I was at their house, and the second cookbook had come out, and Martina loves champagne like me, and we've been drinking, and she said, well, I want to autograph it to you, and I have I'm kind of sarcastic, and she said, what do you want me to write? And I said, why don't you just write, fuck you, Candace? Which she did, but not in a mean way. And I crack up every time I open the cookbook. I crack up, and I'm like, oh my God, I love this. It's so funny.
That's lovely.
Yeah, I know, she's the best.
Yeah, I tell you what I was going to ask you. You've worked at a lot of other studios before EastWest, so you must have a load of funny stories, I'm sure.
Well, some
ones you can tell us about.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still working, so it's kind of. Red Zone was Take One was amazing when I started with Steve. There were shenanigans with Guns N' Roses. We had a Coca-Cola machine, an old-fashioned kind where you pull the Coke out, right?
Yep.
So we filled it with beer, and there was more than one time. The poor vending machine guy. We had a cigarette machine too. There was more than one time where the guys would sort of tilt it back, pop the cap, and drink the beer or steal the cigarettes or whatever. The vending machine guy was fit to be tied with me, but I was married before I'm married to my beloved husband, my second husband, Brian, who I've been with for almost 35 years. But I was married before. And at my first wedding, Slash and Duff rode motorcycles down the aisle of the chapel. So that was a good day. But Red Zone was amazing. I met a guy who changed my life, a fellow Brit, John Porter, who was the bass player in Roxy Music and a very well-known producer. And John is one who actually brought me here. But John and I did a lot of records at Red Zone, Buddy Guy, Taj Mahal, a lot of blues. He's a good friend of Eric Clapton's. John turned me on to a lot of people. And then I went to Soundcastle, and that was Buddy King and Pat King, who I worked for there. I learned a great deal from Pat. She's like an old school kind of bookkeeper, accountant, took shorthand. She's super smart and super organized, great businesswoman. And that was a gangster rap studio. So I got exposed to a whole other world, and I was like a 31-year-old white woman from, South Carolina. I'm not racist at all. I never have been, but it was just a learning curve. And then we all fell in love though. Like I would barbecue and there'd be all these really tough guys like, hey, do you like my pasta salad? It's like, putting the machine gun in the trunk and here's my pasta salad. So it was. There
was a kid. I was coming out of Ralph's the other day, loading my shopping, and there was a kid loading shopping into one of these. It wasn't a Tesla truck, but it was a fancy Tesla, and he was tatted from the neck, just everywhere.
Yeah.
And
a face tattoo. That's all I'm saying.
Had his headphones around his neck on 11. And I was kind of keeping my distance because, I didn't want to look the wrong way or say the wrong thing or whatever. And this jalopy, this 1922 Bugatti comes pulling down the parking lot. And we both stopped what we were doing and looked at it and went, wow, it's amazing. And he turned to me and he's like, oh, ma'am, can I help you with your shopping? And I'm like, oh, that's so sweet, but I'm not that old yet, but whatever. And he said, oh, no, I didn't mean to insult you. I wasn't anything about your age. I said, but look at that car. It's so old, it could run for president.
Yeah.
We both wound up high-fiving,
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah. It's funny. You really can't judge a book by its cover.
I was just about to say that. I firmly believe it.
I mean, look at us. Look at us. We look respectable.
We look prim and proper, officer.
Yeah.
So when did you start the whole podcast thing? And did you have to be talked into it, or was it your idea? Or
what really happened was you had asked about the book, and I haven't done that, but there was a couple of people who wanted to do a documentary on Roseman and Paula and myself.
Yep.
And that is still forthcoming. I hope that happens one day. But I was in Paula Salvatore, my dear friend, who I've known for 40 years, who ran Capitol Studios, of course, for over 30 years. And I was in her office, and she has all these pictures. In the background on the screen, you can see like the one picture I have, which is an old picture of Iggy Pop. But she has all these pictures, as you know, and all these autographs and stuff. And I'm like, man, I don't have anything. My whole life I've been doing this, and I don't have any pictures because I never really felt.
Yeah.
Oh, it depends on the vibe, as you know, but I never felt like, oh, hey, let me take your picture. So I decided to do the podcast, and I have to have you on it. I decided to do the podcast, really, like I said, just to for posterity, for myself, to have these memories and have these conversations with these people that I love.
Right.
It's been so fun too. It's so fun.
And I love the name Trade Secrets, because you do.
Yeah. I just there was a company I was working with for a minute called Panther, and these guys were doing sort of a Spotify platform, but more for unsigned artists. And they were the ones who first suggested it. They've gone in another direction now. They're amazing guys. But anyway, Jason Farrow and Chris Wilkinson, awesome guys. But they were the first ones, and Henrik Garcia also, they were the first ones that thought that I should do a podcast. And so then their business model changed. I said, well, I'm just going to do it myself. So I started doing audio only. Keith, my assistant, records it.
Yep. And
then I have a videographer now named Nader Dalul, who's amazing.
Cool.
And, it's super fun. I've had a couple people, this will not surprise you. A couple people have sent in Angie like a comment or something, and they're like, well, she interrupts. And I'm like, it's my fucking podcast. I can do what I want.
Exactly. Shit, you trap and bite me.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck off. Anyway.
Always the perfect lady. That's what I like about it.
Yeah.
What we do with these is Martin's found this thing called Buzzsprout, which is like a watering can, and it sprinkles it out to Apple, Pandora, Amazon, Spotify, and all of this stuff. So we strip the audio off these and put them up as audio podcasts. So you get a twofer.
I do a similar thing. I go through a thing called Captivate.
Yes.
And it disseminates to everything. And then I actually have a website called tradesecretspodcast.com.
Yep.
And then the video is on YouTube.
That's right. That's where this video will live after we're done here.
Yeah. And I think the channel is actually, I don't know if the channel, I should know this. I don't know if the channel is, I think it's Candace Stewart / trade secrets. I'm not
Okay. Well, you'll find her. You're findable.
Yeah, I tell you what, I wanted to ask you, how do you keep on top of all the plugins and all the new crap that's coming all the time?
I rely a lot on my staff. I ask them what clients are requesting.
Yeah.
And because we're a commercial facility, we have to have, there's 4 main rooms, so you have to have the same thing in each room, and
Yes.
it's quite expensive. But I really rely on the staff and the clients. I ask them, a couple times a year, is there anything that we don't have that people are asking
Yes.
for, and things like that, because it's like a hotel with technology.
That's right. Well,
Yeah.
I know with Ruth, every morning she wakens up and there's something new.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Technology. And since AI began,
Oh,
it's crazy.
it's just
Yeah.
crazy.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I await to see
Where things land. Oh, we lost you. Okay. Well, I don't know if you hit your mute button. Well, that's a drag. We lost Candace's audio. Can't hear you. You're muted. I don't know. Did you hit a mute button? I know. Did you lose audio on me too? No, I don't know what the hell is going on. The gods are conspiring against us. Ooh, can you hear me, Candace? She's still yakking. That's what we love about her. She's just talking.
Carry on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Interesting. I wonder what happened there. Gremlins. Absolutely. Don't know. Well, shoot, Martz, can you turn your volume up and see if you can hear me?
No, I can't.
Just
I can't hear it either.
you can't hear me at all?
I can hear you.
Yes, you can hear me. Okay, good. So, but not on Candace's side of the mountain. Candace, hello. Where you go? No. Why don't you go out and come in again? Go out and come in again, maybe. Well, this sucked. You know what? Let me text you for just 1 second.
Of course, it's a studio.
Of course, it's a recording studio. Of course, we lost the damn audio. What did I say to you today? We're so well organized
Yeah.
that
There's something bound to go wrong.
something's bound to go wrong. Exactly. So go out and click the link again. Maybe that works. I'm going to send her a text. She's reading the text. Well, we've got the old no. I can lip read. She's like, has this ever happened to you before? No audio. Bummer. You know what I can do is I can remove her and then add you back in. See if that works. Say something, Miss Candace. Dun, 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 dun. Remove. Bing, bang, bang. Mute the mic. Unmute the mic. Bummer. Oh, well, it was fabulous while it lasted. I do not know what happened.
Oh, what a shame.
I know. Well, we'll have to reschedule. She's fabulous. So leave the studio, hit the red button on the bottom right, and come back in from the link in your email. Maybe. Otto, who is a fabulous producer in Phoenix, he says it's the intern.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
He's cut her off. What an absolute drag. Well, we'll definitely have to do it again because I want to have the audio for the podcast. So she's gone out, and let's see if she comes back in again. We can take a short slurp. Everybody zen, breathe, pray for sound. Cheers. What did I say this morning?
Yeah,
it's all
I know
going
you
so
did.
swimmingly well.
Yeah.
Wonder what can possibly go wrong. What could possibly go wrong?
Well, for starters, Candace got stuck in
Lord.
traffic, didn't she?
Okay, well, here we go. Are you back?
I'm back.
Oh, you're
There
back.
you go.
Sorry
Okay.
about
I
that.
don't
Sorry
think
about
it is.
watching. Sorry about that or listening.
All right. Well, our friend Otto, who is a fabulous producer in Phoenix with a great studio too, he said it's the intern.
I see that. Yeah, that's funny. Blame it on the intern.
Yay.
Exactly,
So sometimes you just have to go out and come in again. It's like me with menopause. I go out to the garage and I stand there going, what the hell did I come out here for? Oh, yeah, kitchen rolls.
There you go. Yeah, what am I doing? Who am I? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, no, we were just talking about, the happenstance of getting a podcast together and how lovely it is to have it for posterity.
I mean, there'll be a time when I'll retire. I'll probably end up back in South Carolina, which I love. And I always, it's funny, and Angie, I'm sure you can relate to this as well. Like you hear people who really live in their glory days, you know what I mean? And I think we're a little different in that we're sort of living in the now.
Yes.
And I always want to be that way. But if I'm sitting in a bar somewhere and a song comes on that I have worked with the artist, I'll know.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And then I'll have the podcast where I can go back and they can tell me how great I am. And
I told you so.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
are there any upcoming projects you want to tell us about?
Privacy is really important for our artists, especially the labels have their marketing departments and publicists.
Yes.
Okay. But there are, I'm trying to think, there's some cool things we're doing. I can't even think of everything that we're doing right now, actually.
Tell you one of your expressions that I love. If you answer the phone with a smile, what exactly is a smile?
People can hear it.
Yeah, I think, obviously I'm a pretty happy person, but I think people don't realize how lucky we are to get to work in music.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not working in a bomb factory, you know what I'm saying? Or
exactly.
And God bless everybody who does everything. God bless the trash people and the electric people and everybody. But we're so lucky. And in this time, I think it's more exciting than ever. There's music in more places than there's ever been. Yeah. And I think that it's a blessing, I just feel grateful.
Well, absolutely. I have, when I was an artist touring Russia, Lithuania, Latvia, Siberia, Armenia after the earthquake, and I gave all the money in rubles to the Spitak and Leninikan earthquake fund, whatever. And I got on a plane home from Moscow to East Berlin because the wall was still up at that point. It was 1988. Oh, wow. And then we traveled through Checkpoint Charlie and whatever to West Berlin. And I was living in Munich, and I got on just a Lufthansa regular, commuter flight from Berlin back to Munich. Yeah. And there was this bitch standing at the gate buffet saying, "What do you mean you don't have any bananas for my yogurt for my breakfast?" And I just lost it today. I'm surprised they let me on the plane because in German, I just lost it on her. I'm like, I've just been to Armenia where there are 40,000 dead people.
Yeah, where people don't have clean water. You know what I'm saying? I think everybody that takes themselves too seriously needs to stop and just take a beat. And you were asking me about people that I've worked with, and I have to be honest, almost to a person, they've all been fantastic. Mick Jagger's a sweetheart. Keith Richards a sweetheart. Dave Grohl, favorite of all time, but goes out and feeds the homeless. Dave goes out and puts his money, where his heart is, and helps people that need help.
Yeah, lovely.
That's it. If you're rich and have influence, go help people.
Exactly.
Oh, absolutely. What's the point of dying rich?
Yeah.
We had a lovely friend, Alice Townsend, songwriter in Nashville when we lived there. And she wrote this fabulous country tune. I ain't never seen a hearse with a trailer hitch because you can't take it with you when you go.
Oh, that's a great line. There's a country song called I Got Tears in My Ears from laying on my back crying over you. That's That's another one I love. Oh, you know what? Speaking of artists, there's a new artist that Tyler Johnson is a producer, songwriter who's working here, and he's amazing. Relocated from Nashville. He's working with this artist named Cam. C-A-M. Oh my God, she's amazing. She's like Patsy Cline of now. She's so cool. Yeah, that's coming out soon. Probably a spoiler alert on that, but yeah, that's coming out soon.
Okay, Cam, I will definitely check her out.
Yeah.
We're mentoring and just fangirling and fanboying in Martin's case there's an artist in Memphis called Nick Black Music.
Okay.
I will send you his links. He comes out to LA and stays with us. and does some writing and stuff. He makes his money on Twitch. He's got a huge fan following on Twitch, which belongs to Amazon.
Yeah.
And he's able to pay all of his bills and what have you. So he comes out here, and his name is Nick Black.
All right.
He's from Memphis, and his band are all African American, and he's the only white guy. So
that's funny.
They play this lovely game when they go through airports. All of the band, they all wear Nick Black band T-shirts, whatever. And they go up to the TSA gal, and they opens their ID, and it's Terrell Reed or Daryl Sanford or whatever it is. And she's like, "So you're not Nick Black?" And they all sort of stand there at the end of the luggage thing and go, "Nuh-uh. That's that Nick Black."
The white one.
He's the pale. He's
the white guy. Yeah, no, that's funny.
They do this routine at TSA every airport they go through. That's so cute.
I saw a couple of comments along the bottom, and I wanted to say something about one thing. I mean, obviously, being a woman in the music industry, you would think that I would have had a hard road, but I'll tell you the truth, I didn't. I mean, I grew up with 3 brothers, and I'm a pretty, outspoken person. And I think there's a misconception that there's more chauvinism than there actually is.
Really? Good.
You know what I mean? Not that it doesn't exist on both sides, but I'm not really a hater on leadership, and I don't talk politics, and we talk about that. But also, like, people will say, like, "Oh, well, you do this women's group thing," and I'm like, I don't really like a group that excludes the other half of the population.
You.
Engineers are engineers. They're not female engineers. You don't say, "Oh, I'm going to the female doctor." I mean, you might. Yeah. You don't say, "I'm going to my female dentist." You know what I mean? It's
I know, I quite agree.
Yeah, professionals are professionals. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was lucky enough to grow up with this for a mother. And then her mother, Edith, who was the true inspiration for the song Blackbird, which was written in her bedroom at our house in Liverpool. She was a feisty old broad. She was born in 1888. Wow. And my grandfather, once upon a time, he came home late, drunk on their wedding anniversary, and she got a babysitter because she thought they were going to the local pub, the Dog and Gun, and they were going to have, bread and cheese and pickles and a glass of port for their anniversary.
Right.
He came home late, slumped in the armchair by the fire. She let the fire go out. She went upstairs and got some barber scissors and
cut off half of his sergeant major mustache, just half of it. He had those, yes. Yeah, she cut off half and went to bed.
Is that where the walrus came from, the mustache?
Right. No, that was my side of the family.
Next morning she wakened up, and there he was, as usual, by the bedside before he went off to his army camp with a cup of tea. "Good morning, darling. Here's your tea. See you tonight."
With a white top lip.
Didn't mention it, and never did till the day he died. He never. He had a white.
Yeah, don't mess with a strong woman.
There was another time he came home and they got in a fight about something. I don't know what it was. And they were in the front room. And so she dragged the little coffee table over and he said, "Oh, shut up, woman, go and make my tea, my dinner," And he picked up the newspaper to try and ignore her. So she set fire to the newspaper, went out for a walk.
Nice. Thank you. Yeah, that's classic.
That's where I come from.
Uncle Martin.
My mom
his lovely long hair.
Yes.
If he says something that sets me off, and I say, "I've got scissors. I know where you are when you're asleep."
Yeah, Ruth's husband Martin has the most gorgeous hair for sure. Yeah, don't cut Martin's hair. Martin's a good guy. Yeah. But my parents were pretty egalitarian. They were both, till my mom worked, my dad worked. My dad respected my mom. What a concept.
Yeah, no, I grew up in a family like that too. And I do get that some women are unfortunately in a place of chauvinism. And I think I'm not pushing back, but I do agree that the music industry, I don't think is as chauvinistic as the film industry.
I would agree. Yeah. I think a lot of time, and interestingly enough, and this, the studio managers have traditionally been women. There are some men, but Rose Mann, Paula, myself, Siobhan O'Brien, Tina at the Village, Stacy at Conway, Faryelle at Henson, all the managers are women.
It's like, because I think it's a mothering den gathering post family thing.
Isn't it? Yeah.
It's big boy daycare. Come on now.
Rock and roll daycare. Yeah.
Rock and roll daycare, yeah.
That's what Paula calls it, Paula Salvatore. But I mean, artists are sensitive, engineers are creative.
Yeah.
Like I said in the beginning, just give them what they need. You're the innkeeper, give them what they need and get out of the way.
Yeah. Well, that's always the feeling. I love coming to East West, not because because I love you and Keith, but it's just you're always the minute you're in there, out of the hustle and bustle that is Sunset and Gower, you feel
Safe.
you feel safe, but you feel like you're home. You can go to the kitchen, make yourself a cup of tea, and nobody's going to go, "Where are you going?"
Yeah, no, once you're through the front door, you're in.
Yeah. Do I have to tell, I don't know if I ever told you this funny story, but Studio 3, the Pet Sounds room, I was going out the back door to the parking lot to load, and I could smell like galois of like French cigarettes. And I was like, who the hell is smoking in this building? You have to be out of your mind. And somebody said did that used to be the actual back door before they built the other studio on?
Yeah, I mean, they've been together for a long, long time, but yes.
Yeah, because somebody told me that they had the same experience, and they'd been told that Brian Wilson used to stand out there when it was outside and smoke his cigarettes. And I was like, I wonder if I just got a
smoking area now. There's like a red table out there now and an umbrella.
Right. There was nobody out there the day I experienced it. There was nobody out there. Nobody was smoking.
Oh, that's interesting. Maybe it's a ghost. I mean, the kids have told me for many years that there's ghosts here of different genders. So yeah, maybe
different artists. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe Frank Sinatra or Doris Day was here a lot. I don't know.
Yeah, kids, for those of you who are watching, you have to check out EastWestStudios.com. It's a fabulous website. Unfortunately, McCartney Multimedia did not build it, but anyway. But
I mean, you never know.
You never know.
But it's got this fabulous timeline, which I go and refer to often. Sometimes if I'm, conversating with somebody, and I'll go like, wait, let me go check that out because I know it'll be on East West. It's a history book. Fantastic.
Yeah, I wanted to get plaques and put them outside each room, and put stuff by decade. And I might still do that, but there's so many people that I wouldn't want anyone to be slighted if they didn't end up on the plaque, Well,
we did for similar kind of thing for a museum in Auschwitz a few years ago now, before even people knew what QR codes were. We put QR codes at the beginning of each gallery, which then linked to a web archive that people could go see from the plaque, which was the QR.
Yeah.
We built all of these web pages as an archive of everything, which is then a living document because you can just keep adding to it.
Oh, that's a great idea. There you go.
We can talk about that.
Yeah. Oh, that's a cool.
Well, we'll talk about that over a glass of champagne.
Sounds good. Yeah. 4th of July is going to be lots of champagne for me because nothing says 4th of July like champagne. I'm just saying.
That's right. That's right.
And champagne.
And champagne.
Absolutely. So our regular viewers will know that our very special guests get their very own limerick. And
I'm excited.
Okay. So here we go. And a 1, 2, 3. So Candace, it's been so much fun hearing tales of your bands on the run. Their musical history, creating the mystery. You fix it when all's said and done.
I nearly buggered that up, didn't I?
No, you were great. You were great. And if anyone doesn't know who Ogden Nash is, that's their homework. Go look up Ogden Nash because my mom used to read Ogden Nash at the park. So there you go.
Yeah, absolutely. So wonderful. Sorry, we had a little glitch when we download it. We'll cut it in 2 pieces and put it back on all together again on YouTube, and I'll send you guys the link.
Dude, thank you so much. And Angie, you are Ruth, both of you, inspirations. I mean, you're both amazing. I hope to be you when I grow up, Angie. That's my
plan. You have to grow out to be me, not up. I'm only 4'10".
There you go. Well, yeah, I'll be shrinking. I'm shrinking.
All right, my sweet.
Well, thanks, Martin.
I know you're crazy busy. Our love to Keith and the crew, and we hopefully will see you with
soon.
Nick Marshall or Nico Bolas or somebody else.
Yes. You guys have a great day and have a happy and safe holiday.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Happy 4th. Lots of love.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.